Focus is not a trait you are born with, it is a skill that can be developed, strengthened, and refined. In a world overflowing with distractions, the ability to concentrate deeply is more valuable than ever. Imagine being able to direct your full mental energy toward your goals, undeterred by interruptions, fatigue, or uncertainty. This is not a distant dream. In just 7 days, you can lay the foundation for laser focus by applying deliberate strategies that train your mind, structure your environment, and harness your energy with precision. The journey begins with clarity. Clarity is the single most powerful catalyst for focus. Without a clear goal, effort dissipates like water poured onto sand. When your objective is defined, your mind instinctively filters out irrelevant stimuli. Every decision becomes simpler, every action more intentional. Vague intentions like wanting to be more productive or successful are insufficient. You must know exactly what success looks like, why it matters, and how you will recognize progress. Visualization, setting measurable milestones, and defining precise outcomes create a mental roadmap that guides attention naturally. With clarity, your brain understands where to allocate energy and what to ignore, transforming scattered effort into deliberate action. Once clarity is established, the power of small wins becomes the engine for momentum. Achieving tiny, manageable tasks each day reinforces the belief that progress is real and attainable. These small victories trigger a psychological boost, releasing dopamine that motivates further action and strengthens mental habits. Over time, the accumulation of small wins creates a compounding effect, turning consistent effort into significant results. Momentum born from these victories transforms daunting goals into achievable steps, making focus less about willpower and more about following a path of continuous reinforcement. Each completed task serves as a building block, boosting confidence, sharpening skills, and creating an unstoppable rhythm that propels you forward. The environment you create is equally critical. Attention is shaped by surroundings, both physical and digital, as well as the people and information you engage with. Clutter, noise, and distractions drain mental energy, while an organized, intentional environment amplifies focus. Every object, tool, and cue should be positioned to support the work you intend to do. Silence unnecessary notifications, simplify your workspace, and structure your digital life to minimize interruptions. Surround yourself with people and conditions that encourage deep work, accountability, and purposeful behavior. By shaping your environment, you create a context in which attention flows naturally, where your mind is guided toward what matters, and distractions are neutralized before they can take hold. Time blocks are the framework that transforms intention into action. Multitasking is a myth. It scatters attention and diminishes quality. By dedicating specific intervals to single tasks, you harness the brain's natural ability to concentrate fully on one thing at a time. Scheduling deep work during periods when energy is highest, followed by planned breaks, optimizes performance and prevents mental fatigue. These intervals reduce decision fatigue, create measurable progress, and train the mind to enter a state of flow more easily. Each time block becomes a promise to focus deliberately, protecting mental energy and creating a rhythm that sustains productivity throughout the day. Focus is strengthened further through deliberate mind training. Motivation is fleeting, but a trained mind is consistent. Awareness of distractions, mindfulness practices, and attention exercises build mental stamina, patience, and resilience. Habits are cultivated, not forced, and over time, the ability to maintain concentration becomes almost automatic. Mind training also equips you to manage emotions, navigate frustration, and stay composed under pressure, ensuring that attention is preserved even in challenging circumstances. The brain learns to filter irrelevant stimuli, prioritize critical tasks, and maintain clarity, creating a reliable foundation for sustained focus that far exceeds the unpredictable bursts of motivation. Finally, rest is not a luxury. It is power. Recovery replenishes mental energy, consolidates learning, and restores clarity. Quality sleep, intentional pauses, and mental breaks prevent burnout and maintain sharpness. Rest enhances creativity, strengthens emotional resilience, and allows the brain to perform at its highest level. Strategic rest ensures that the effort you invest is multiplied, attention is renewed, and focus can be sustained consistently. Productivity is not about relentless action, it is about intelligent action. where work and recovery are balanced to maximize output and mental strength. By combining clarity, small wins, a supportive environment, structured time blocks, deliberate mind training, and restorative rest, you can cultivate laser focus in just 7 days. Each principle reinforces the others, creating a self-sustaining cycle of attention, energy, and progress. 7 days of disciplined application can transform scattered effort into deliberate, high-impact action, allowing you to achieve more in less time, with greater precision, and with a mind fully engaged in the pursuit of what truly matters. Clarity is the single most underrated skill when it comes to building focus, yet it is the foundation on which everything else rests. Without clarity, effort becomes scattered, energy dissipates, and even the most motivated individuals can find themselves spinning in circles, unsure of where to channel their mental resources. To create true focus, you must first define exactly what it is you are aiming for. Vague intentions like, "I want to be more productive," or "I want to improve my life," are insufficient. They are like trying to navigate a city without a map, hoping to stumble upon the right destination. Focus requires precision, a clear understanding of the outcome you want to achieve, and an unwavering commitment to pursue that outcome relentlessly. When your goal is well defined, your mind automatically begins to filter out distractions. Decisions that once seemed overwhelming become simpler, because they can be evaluated against your clear objective. Every choice, every action, can be measured against whether it moves you closer to that goal or pulls you away from it. Clarity begins with asking yourself hard, specific questions about what you truly want. What does success look like in your personal and professional life? What are the measurable results that will signal progress? When you answer these questions, you are no longer operating in ambiguity. You have drawn a line in the sand, and your focus naturally aligns along that line. It is not enough to have a general direction. The sharper the image of your goal in your mind, the easier it becomes to concentrate on what matters most. Visualization is a powerful tool here. When you vividly imagine the end result, your subconscious mind begins to work toward it, guiding your decisions and prioritizing your energy in ways you might not even consciously realize. Your brain starts to recognize what is relevant and what is irrelevant, making it far easier to resist distractions that previously seemed irresistible. A clear mind also allows you to break down your objectives into actionable steps. When you know exactly what you are aiming for, you can identify the critical tasks that will have the greatest impact. These tasks should become non-negotiable anchors in your daily routine. Without clarity, you risk spending hours on low-impact activities, believing that you are making progress when, in reality, you are just busy. Clear goals act as a compass, constantly reminding you of where your energy should go. They make it simpler to say no to opportunities, commitments, or habits that do not serve your ultimate purpose. Every moment becomes a conscious choice, and every choice is an opportunity to reinforce your focus. Clarity also removes the mental friction that comes from uncertainty. When your objectives are vague, your mind tends to overthink, procrastinate, and second-guess itself. This indecision is exhausting, and it slowly erodes your capacity for sustained attention. On the other hand, when clarity is present, your mental energy is freed up. You no longer waste time wondering if a task is important or debating how to start. You simply know, and knowing creates confidence, which is itself a catalyst for focus. Confidence in your direction makes it easier to resist the pull of distractions, and it provides the persistence required to push through challenging moments. It is important to understand that clarity is not a one-time event. As circumstances evolve, goals may need refinement. Regularly revisiting your objectives ensures that your focus remains aligned with your highest priorities. Clarity is a practice as much as it is a state of mind. By continuously sharpening your vision, you create an environment within yourself where focus becomes almost automatic. Each decision is filtered through the lens of your purpose. Each action is intentional, and each effort compounds because it is directed with precision. True clarity requires honesty and courage. It requires stripping away the noise of expectations from others, the temptation of easy distractions, and the illusions that keep you stuck in indecision. Only when you face your goals with unflinching honesty can you establish the clear line that focus demands. Your brain thrives on this clarity. It seeks patterns, efficiency, and pathways that align with your purpose. When these pathways are illuminated, the mind naturally locks onto them, concentrating its energy where it matters most. Every moment of attention becomes a building block toward your desired outcome, and gradually, without forcing it, focus transforms from a fleeting skill into a steady, almost effortless state of being. Momentum is not built in a single leap. It is created through consistent, incremental progress, and the most powerful way to generate it is by celebrating small wins. Every major achievement, every breakthrough, and every peak performance is the result of a series of small victories that compound over time. Small wins act as proof that progress is possible. They provide immediate feedback that your efforts are moving you closer to your goals, and this feedback fuels motivation in ways that abstract, distant objectives cannot. When you focus solely on the end goal, it can feel overwhelming, like trying to climb a mountain with no sense of the path or the steps required. Small wins break the journey into manageable pieces, creating a series of milestones that guide you forward and build the confidence necessary to tackle more significant challenges. Each small win is evidence that your system is working, that your actions are producing results, and that your goal is not an unattainable dream, but a tangible reality in progress. Small wins create a psychological effect that is profoundly motivating. Each accomplishment, no matter how minor, triggers a sense of achievement and reinforces positive behavior. Your brain is wired to recognize success and reward it with dopamine, the chemical that drives motivation and reinforces learning. This reward system makes you more likely to repeat the behaviors that led to the win, creating a self-sustaining cycle of progress. By focusing on small, achievable tasks, you generate consistent reinforcement, and over time, these reinforcements accumulate, turning effort into habit, habit into discipline, and discipline into mastery. The beauty of small wins is that they are immediately actionable. Unlike long-term goals, which may feel distant and abstract, small wins are tangible and measurable. They give you clarity on what to do next and provide a roadmap for continued progress. Momentum generated by small wins is not only psychological but also practical. Each completed task builds skills, knowledge, and confidence. As you accumulate experience, you become faster, more efficient, and more capable. Tasks that once felt difficult or intimidating become routine, and your sense of competence grows with every success. This growth, in turn, fuels ambition. As confidence builds, you are more willing to tackle challenges that previously seemed beyond your reach. Small wins act as stepping stones, allowing you to bridge the gap between your current state and your desired outcome. They transform the journey into a series of achievable actions rather than an overwhelming, monolithic goal. Small wins also create a visible track record of progress. When you can see the tangible results of your efforts, it becomes easier to maintain focus and resist distractions. Visual markers of success, such as checking off tasks, completing milestones, or achieving mini goals, provide proof that you are moving forward. This sense of visible progress is critical because human beings are inherently motivated by results. Without evidence of forward movement, it is easy to become discouraged, even when effort is being applied consistently. Small wins provide this evidence, reinforcing the belief that your actions matter and that persistence pays off. Another critical aspect of small wins is that they make momentum contagious. When you share progress with others, even in small ways, it creates accountability and inspires action. Teams and communities thrive on visible, incremental achievements because each win signals that goals are achievable and that effort is worthwhile. This social reinforcement amplifies momentum, creating an environment where progress feeds on itself. In addition, small wins build resilience. Large, distant goals often feel fragile because they are susceptible to setbacks, obstacles, or delays. When progress is broken into smaller victories, setbacks become less daunting. You can recover quickly and continue forward because each small win has already reinforced your capacity to succeed, giving you the confidence to keep going despite challenges. Focusing on small wins does not mean settling for mediocrity or ignoring long-term ambitions. On the contrary, it is a strategy for achieving greatness. By breaking monumental goals into smaller, actionable steps, you reduce overwhelm, maintain motivation, and build a strong foundation for sustained effort. Each small win compounds over time, creating momentum that carries you toward larger objectives with increasing speed and confidence. Small wins are the engine that propels focus, productivity, and achievement, turning ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. The environment we place ourselves in has a profound impact on our ability to focus, yet it is often overlooked as a factor in productivity and performance. Attention is a limited resource, and it is constantly under siege by external stimuli. Every sound, movement, notification, or visual clutter competes for mental energy, subtly eroding our capacity to concentrate. The space in which we work, study, or pursue our goals can either support deep focus or sabotage it, without us even realizing. By intentionally shaping our environment, we can create conditions that naturally guide our attention toward what matters most. This is not merely about tidying up a desk or finding a quiet room. It is about designing an ecosystem where distractions are minimized, cues for focus are amplified, and mental energy is preserved for the tasks that truly require it. The first principle of shaping your environment is removing distractions. Modern life is filled with interruptions, from the constant ping of digital devices to the visual chaos of cluttered spaces. Each interruption is not just a momentary diversion. It triggers a mental cost known as attention residue, where part of your mind remains preoccupied with the distraction even after you attempt to return to the task at hand. By eliminating unnecessary noise, notifications, and clutter, you reduce these cognitive costs. The brain responds to order with clarity. A clean, organized, and intentional space signals that it is time to focus, making it easier to enter a state of deep concentration. It is not enough to occasionally tidy up or ignore notifications. The environment must be proactively designed to support focus at all times, so that attention flows naturally to the task you intend to complete. Environment shapes attention, not only through what is removed, but also through what is intentionally included. Visual cues, ergonomics, and sensory design can all guide focus. For example, placing a notepad or essential tools within reach can prevent small interruptions from escalating into major distractions. Lighting, temperature, and seating arrangements affect comfort and alertness, which directly influence concentration. Even background sound matters. Some people perform best in complete silence, while others thrive with subtle ambient music that blocks disruptive noises. These elements, when deliberately arranged, create a supportive ecosystem for attention, allowing the mind to direct its energy toward meaningful work instead of constantly reacting to irrelevant stimuli. The principle of environmental influence extends beyond physical spaces to digital and social surroundings. The platforms we use, the people we interact with, and the information we consume all shape where our attention goes. Social media, endless notifications, and poorly organized digital files fragment the mind in the same way a cluttered room does. Conversely, a well-structured digital workspace, free from unnecessary alerts and distractions, enables sustained focus. Similarly, the people around us influence attention through both direct and indirect cues. Environments that encourage accountability, minimize interruptions, and reinforce purposeful behavior make it easier to concentrate, whereas chaotic or high-stimulation settings erode focus almost instantly. Recognizing this allows us to curate not only our physical surroundings, but also our social and digital landscapes to support the outcomes we desire. Creating a focus-friendly environment also involves habits and rituals. The environment is most powerful when it triggers automatic behavior, reducing the need for constant willpower. For instance, walking into a designated workspace can become a signal for the brain to enter a state of concentration. Organizing materials, setting clear boundaries, and establishing routines all condition the mind to respond with focus. Over time, these environmental cues strengthen the association between place, action, and attention, making deep focus more accessible and sustainable. It is important to understand that shaping your environment is an ongoing process, not a one-time setup. As projects evolve, tasks change, and priorities shift, the optimal environment for attention may also shift. Being mindful of how your surroundings influence mental energy allows for continuous adjustment and refinement. This mindset transforms the environment from a passive backdrop into an active partner in productivity. By consistently designing and maintaining spaces, both physical and digital, that align with your goals. You create conditions where focus is not forced but naturally emerges, where distractions are neutralized before they can take hold, and where mental energy is preserved for the work that truly matters. Time is one of the most valuable resources we possess, yet it is constantly under assault by the illusion of multitasking. Many people believe that juggling multiple tasks simultaneously increases efficiency, but research and experience tell a different story. Multitasking divides attention, diminishes the quality of work, and erodes mental energy. Each time the mind switches between tasks, a cognitive cost is incurred, often called the switching penalty, which can reduce productivity by as much as 40%. The act of switching contexts interrupts thought patterns, breaks momentum, and makes it far harder to enter a state of deep focus. Time blocks, on the other hand, provide a structured approach that prioritizes single tasking, creating dedicated periods for uninterrupted work. By allocating specific blocks of time to particular tasks or projects, you signal to your mind that it is safe and expected to concentrate fully on one thing at a time, which dramatically increases both efficiency and output. The principle behind time blocking is simple yet powerful. Assign a fixed window of time to a specific task and commit to working on it exclusively during that period. These blocks are often more effective when scheduled according to your natural energy levels, with the most challenging or creative tasks reserved for when your mind is sharpest. Time blocks reduce decision fatigue by predefining what should be done and when, freeing your brain from constantly negotiating priorities. Instead of constantly asking yourself, "What should I work on next?" or getting distracted by low-priority tasks, your mind can dedicate its full capacity to the task within the allotted block. This structure also transforms work into measurable, achievable segments. By seeing progress in clearly defined intervals, motivation grows, and a sense of accomplishment builds, reinforcing the habit of deep work. Time blocking is more than just scheduling. It is a commitment to presence and intention. Each block represents a promise to yourself to focus fully, undistracted, and without compromise. During these periods, notifications are silenced, emails are postponed, and attention is shielded from external demands. The power of this approach lies not only in what you achieve during the block, but in how it trains the brain. With repeated practice, the mind learns to enter a state of flow more quickly, experiencing fewer interruptions and maintaining attention for longer periods. Over time, these blocks become a rhythm, a cadence that optimizes cognitive performance and minimizes wasted energy. Multitasking, in contrast, spreads attention thin across many competing demands. When juggling tasks, the brain is forced to constantly refocus, rebuild context, and recover from interruptions. Each switch drains cognitive resources, diminishes creativity, and increases the likelihood of errors. People who multitask frequently report higher stress levels and fatigue, even when they feel busy. Time blocks counteract this by creating an environment of containment. Work is done in controlled bursts with a clear beginning and end, reducing stress and enhancing both quality and quantity of output. By respecting the brain's natural limits and designing the day around concentrated intervals, we reclaim control over attention, energy, and results. Another critical aspect of time blocking is intentional breaks. Deep work blocks are most effective when paired with periods of rest, allowing the brain to recover and consolidate information. The combination of focused effort and deliberate recovery prevents burnout and maintains mental acuity throughout the day. When properly managed, time blocks create a sustainable rhythm of high performance, where work is both productive and mentally nourishing. The strategy is flexible, allowing for adjustments based on the demands of the day, but its core principle remains the same. Single tasking in defined intervals is exponentially more effective than scattered attention across multiple simultaneous activities. Time blocks also encourage prioritization. When you allocate a limited amount of time to a task, it forces clarity about what is truly important. Non-essential work is either deferred or eliminated, while the most critical tasks receive undivided attention. This selective focus ensures that your energy is invested where it has the highest impact. The cumulative effect of consistent time blocking is profound. Over days and weeks, the repeated practice of concentrated effort transforms productivity, deepens mastery, and enhances the ability to maintain focus in the face of distractions. By structuring time deliberately, you take control of your attention rather than letting it be dictated by external demands, and in doing so, you build the mental habit of sustained concentration. Motivation is often celebrated as the key to achieving goals, but anyone who has relied solely on motivation knows its fleeting nature. Motivation comes and goes, influenced by mood, energy, and circumstances, leaving even the most ambitious plans vulnerable to inconsistency. Mind training, on the other hand, creates lasting focus, discipline, and resilience that do not depend on temporary feelings. It is the conscious development of mental habits, attention control, and cognitive strategies that allow you to perform consistently, regardless of whether you feel motivated in the moment. Motivation may ignite the spark, but mind training ensures that the fire keeps burning long after the initial surge has passed. By cultivating mental strength through deliberate practice, you build the capacity to act with focus, perseverance, and clarity even when the circumstances are challenging or your enthusiasm wanes. The first step in mind training is awareness. Without recognizing the patterns of thought that fragment attention, it is impossible to manage them effectively. This involves observing distractions, procrastination tendencies, and emotional reactions to tasks without judgment. Awareness creates a feedback loop where you can identify what derails focus and which strategies successfully redirect it. From this foundation, mental exercises and techniques can be applied to strengthen attention. Meditation, visualization, and deliberate concentration practices are examples of tools that train the brain to sustain focus over extended periods. By repeatedly practicing these techniques, the mind becomes more resistant to interruptions, more patient with complex tasks, and more capable of maintaining clarity under pressure. Habits are the engine of mind training. Just as physical exercise strengthens muscles, consistent mental practice strengthens attention. The goal is to shift from relying on inconsistent motivation to developing automatic responses to tasks that require focus. For instance, when the mind has been trained to respond to specific cues with concentration, entering a state of deep work becomes almost automatic. This reduces the dependence on willpower, which is a limited resource, and creates a more reliable pathway to productivity. Small, daily exercises such as dedicating 10 minutes to uninterrupted work, gradually extending the duration over time, can dramatically improve mental stamina. Each session reinforces neural pathways associated with focus, making it easier to maintain attention during more complex or demanding tasks. Mind training also enhances emotional regulation, which is critical for sustaining attention. Motivation alone cannot overcome frustration, boredom, or stress. A trained mind, however, can navigate these emotional states without losing momentum. Techniques such as mindful breathing, reframing challenges, and compartmentalizing thoughts help preserve mental energy for the task at hand. The ability to stay composed and attentive during distractions is a hallmark of a mind that has been deliberately trained, demonstrating that true focus is a skill cultivated over time, rather than a transient state of feeling motivated. Another key aspect of mind training is the intentional structuring of thought patterns. The human mind is naturally prone to wandering, often jumping from one worry, idea, or stimulus to another. Training involves creating boundaries for attention, focusing selectively on what matters most, and returning swiftly when distraction occurs. This is a skill that requires repetition and conscious effort, but over time, it develops into a reflexive ability. The trained mind recognizes irrelevant stimuli and filters them out almost automatically, while prioritizing high-impact tasks. This selective attention transforms how time and energy are spent, allowing for deeper engagement, higher quality work, and greater overall productivity. Mind training also emphasizes resilience in the face of setbacks. Motivation is easily shaken by failure or unexpected obstacles, whereas a trained mind maintains composure, evaluates the situation rationally, and adapts without losing focus. This mental flexibility ensures that progress continues even under challenging circumstances, reinforcing the principle that consistent action, not sporadic enthusiasm, drives results. Through structured exercises, deliberate practice, and the cultivation of supportive habits, mind training builds a foundation of reliability, discipline, and control over attention that far exceeds the temporary lift provided by motivation. The power of mind training lies in its consistency. While motivation can spark action, it is inconsistent and unpredictable. By contrast, a trained mind responds to cues, processes tasks efficiently, and sustains focus regardless of mood, fatigue, or external pressures. Over time, this approach compounds, transforming small, deliberate efforts into significant achievements. It replaces the roller coaster of emotional highs and lows with a steady, deliberate capacity for concentration, ensuring that your goals are pursued with clarity, persistence, and precision. Rest is often underestimated in a culture that glorifies busyness and constant activity, yet it is one of the most powerful tools for building focus, productivity, and mental clarity. True rest is not a passive luxury, but an active strategy that replenishes energy, sharpens cognitive function, and strengthens the mind's ability to concentrate. Without adequate rest, even the most disciplined individual struggles to maintain attention, make decisions, or execute tasks effectively. The brain, like any complex system, requires downtime to process information, consolidate learning, and recover from the continuous demands of work and life. Ignoring rest is akin to running a high-performance engine without oil. Eventually, performance declines, errors increase, and the capacity for sustained effort diminishes. Rest comes in multiple forms, each serving a unique purpose in maintaining mental and physical performance. Sleep is the most obvious and critical component, allowing the brain to reorganize neural pathways, reinforce memory, and clear metabolic waste that accumulates during wakefulness. Quality sleep is not optional for building focus. It is foundational. Even a single night of poor sleep can drastically reduce attention span, slow cognitive processing, and impair decision-making. Beyond sleep, active rest such as meditation, deep breathing, and mindfulness exercises provides the mind with breaks from constant stimulation, enabling it to recover and reset. Short pauses throughout the day, even just a few minutes of stepping away from a task, can prevent mental fatigue and restore the ability to focus sharply when you return to work. Physical rest is equally important. The body and mind are deeply interconnected, and fatigue in one area affects the other. Gentle movement, stretching, or even simply changing posture can reduce tension and improve blood flow to the brain, enhancing alertness and concentration. By respecting the body's signals and incorporating periods of recovery, you ensure that energy is available for sustained mental effort. Over time, the combination of proper sleep, active rest, and physical recovery creates a resilient system capable of maintaining focus for longer periods without succumbing to the diminishing returns of exhaustion. Strategic breaks amplify productivity because they prevent diminishing returns that occur when the brain is overstimulated. Extended periods of continuous work without rest often lead to errors, reduced creativity, and lower overall output. By contrast, planned intervals of rest allow the mind to consolidate information, strengthen memory, and approach problems with renewed perspective. Techniques such as the Pomodoro method, where work is broken into focused intervals followed by short breaks, leverage this principle effectively. During these breaks, the mind is not idle, it is actively processing, reorganizing, and recovering, which ensures that subsequent periods of work are more efficient and higher quality. Rest is also a form of mental discipline. It requires the ability to step away from tasks, resist the urge to constantly engage, and trust that recovery will enhance performance. This is counterintuitive in a culture that equates effort with continuous action. Yet it is precisely this understanding that separates those who achieve sustainable results from those who burn out. Incorporating rest into your routine demonstrates self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and long-term strategic thinking. It is a proactive choice to preserve energy and sharpen focus rather than a passive surrender to fatigue. In addition to physical and mental recovery, rest nurtures creativity and problem-solving. Many of the most profound insights emerge during periods of relaxation, when the mind is not forced but free to wander. By stepping away from a task, you allow subconscious processes to organize information, connect disparate ideas, and generate solutions that might remain elusive under continuous strain. This underscores the paradox that stepping back, rather than pushing forward relentlessly, often accelerates progress and enhances performance. Rest also strengthens emotional resilience, which is essential for sustained focus. Chronic fatigue and sleep deprivation amplify stress responses, reduce patience, and impair judgment. By prioritizing recovery, you stabilize mood, reduce irritability, and create a mental environment conducive to concentration. The mind operates at its best when it is calm, well-rested, and free from the compounding effects of exhaustion. Incorporating rest strategically throughout the day, along with consistent sleep and mental downtime, ensures that energy is preserved, decisions are sharp, and attention can be sustained for extended periods. Understanding rest as power transforms the approach to productivity. It shifts the perspective from relentless effort to intelligent effort, where strategic pauses, recovery, and renewal are integral components of performance. By honoring the body's and mind's need for recovery, you unlock sustained attention, mental clarity, and the capacity to perform at a high level consistently.